I have Adam Cohen with us. He is the VP of Communications for Keengrowth Capital and the CMO of Snacksational Brands. He's a consumer product goods market guru. And people throw that word around, but something tells me, based on the number of snacks I see in the background here, that you really are the snack guru. So, Adam,
Yeah,
how are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Nice.
Awesome.
I'm glad to
Yes.
be here. Thank you.
Now, random question. Do you actually enjoy snacks? Because you look pretty healthy. You know what I mean?
I do enjoy snacks. I think the more you get invested in the business, the less of them you start to eat.
Sure.
So I kind of save those moments from where we're tasting new flavors or new snack potential partnerships or in development, and where I kind of lose control, and then I tighten it up for the rest of the year.
I was gonna say, how do you stay in this business and keep in good
Yeah,
shape, man?
it's
That's um, so tell me something. How did you even get into a position where you're managing the branding for snacks? I mean, where did you make that jump? Is this something that gradually happened for you through a career, or is it a
well,
specific choice you made?
yeah, a career path took me there. My whole career has been in media and some side of media. And I've always worked on behalf of consumer product good in some capacity, whether it was selling advertising to a CPG brand or developing a TV show where a CPG brand became a partner of that show or an integrated partner of that show, to developing and producing content for CPG brands, to then getting on the marketing side of CPG brands, where I work internally with the food and beverage companies direct. It's kind of been on every side of it, but it's been the core of my life's work, working with CPG brands in some form of media.
So I'm not the smartest guy in the room. So is CPGs, does that stand for consumer product goods?
Yes,
Okay,
it's
just making sure. I was like, hey, CPG, another company. I just want to make sure. If
anything.
I
So
don't know, chances are the listener may not, and that's my job. So,
on my side of things, it's a consumer product good you could eat or drink. So
hey,
um, and I started in this sort of in the space of food and beverage. I started working with Heineken years ago as a consultant, and then Moet Hennessy as a consultant on the champagne brands.
hey,
Led into more consumer product goods in the grocery or club space over the course of, started my career in '94 right out of college, but before
awesome.
that, I started as somebody who was very interested in what their parents did. My dad got me involved in media. My
Okay,
dad pioneered mall advertising in 1979. So every time you go into a shopping mall and see a directory with an ad on it, my dad created that and built a network of shopping malls, over 3,000 strong in the US, built up and sold the same business a few times. And when I graduated college and even through high school, after school, I worked for him most of the time through high school and college. And then when I graduated, I became part of his sales force and sold advertising mostly to CPG brands, but more than just food and beverage. So, our advertisers who bought media and shopping malls were anywhere from the Calvin Kleins to the movie studios. And how I kind of got more vested into marketing was that the movie studios were buying most of our advertising nationwide, and shopping malls, because they were really in the '90s, especially, and then the
sure.
2000s, they became an entertainment center, and the malls became bigger. The restaurants got better. The movie theaters got even bigger, and 70% of our revenues were the studios. So I spent a lot of time. Our company was based in New York, and spent a lot of time in Los Angeles, and just kind of like everyone, I got the allure of Tinseltown, and I became very vested in entertainment marketing and what that could become on behalf of a product good, and how you can use entertainment marketing as a platform to develop a brand beyond a static advertisement. And my dad sold the company at a Clear Channel in 1999. I grew up with a family of entrepreneurs. My dad
Ah,
made that seed. I worked for a Clear Channel for about 9 months. Now they brought us into a very corporate environment, and I was like a chicken with my head cut off. You know,
In a corporate environment?
environment, didn't have any understanding of it. I lost a lot of those personal relationships, and ultimately, I felt like what I was doing lacked heart, and I wasn't putting money into my family's pocket anymore, but that of a corporate entity who I had no vested interest in more than liking some people I worked with. And I decided to leave. I took that risk and I went out on my own. And I started a company called Adam's Apple Productions, after my name, sort of, and started looking at opportunities to bring in clients and develop entertainment marketing platforms with them, producing events, producing partnerships with film festivals, looking at integration opportunities when the world started changing or media started changing from allowing somebody to spend, $500,000 on a 15-second spot to a same spend to get an integration into a whole episode of, a sitcom or, any show on TV where that character became part of the experience. A perfect example would be like Castaway with FedEx and Wilson volleyball.
Genius.
So that's where trends were starting to maneuver. I knew that on an early development stage because my head was always pressed deeply against, what's new media opportunities, going to conventions all the time, talking to brand ambassadors or brand managers at different, from Unilevers to the Moët Hennessy's to whatever my clients were at the time, and really finding a way to interrupt a very saturated media environment as it became bigger and bigger and bigger. And this is even before the digital era hit. So my journey just continued. And then it kind of took another turn where these brands wanted to do something bigger. And I started producing short films and introducing like brands into my little films. And they're like, well, can we do something bigger? And one of my films was accepted to Sundance, called Goodnight Valentino, and it won in 2002. And once that happened, managers and agents came up to me and said, hey, would you like to start producing? And I'm like, yeah, that's a passion of mine. And I started getting offers because of my past history in media by networks such as MTV and Entertainment Tonight to come aboard and produce branded entertainment segments. So if it was like a pop quiz moment brought to you by Crest White Strips, or a whole segment brought to you by Ford Motors, like something you would see in American Idol, I started producing those TV segments for entertainment news programs for most of the 2000s. And then again, having all these brand relationships kind of pulling me in all these different directions.
Yeah.
Production, some, standard marketing opportunities and marketing platform programs, to, TV segments and other things. I was asked to, by a very, very famous person in the entertainment business who actually started the E-Networks, called Larry Namer. He asked me to come aboard and create a show for the iconic publication, The Hollywood Reporter. And I produced and created the entire TV show for global markets. And I was tasked to do it in Mandarin, the first one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I remember actually calling my mom, and this is in maybe 2006, 2007, calling her and saying, I don't know if I can do this. And she's like, just step into it. Once you step into it, you'll figure it out. Because I had no previous history in anything I did. It was, really the culmination of my experience connecting dots, people, and opportunities with the knowledge that I got along that journey to know that I can kind of now transform myself into another media opportunity that would be relatable to a consumer in some capacity. And
Now,
that, kind of my journey, and it goes beyond there. Um, that TV show got up and running. I kind of got burnt out a little bit by entertainment news, especially
sure.
global markets. I was never sleeping anymore. And my cousins started getting involved as an owner in um, smaller up and coming or startup food and beverage companies. And he saw what I was doing with these big box brands like the Heineken's and the Hennessy's, American Crew Hair Care Products, or Motorola, or Ford, or whatever it was. And he said, "Hey, can you get me in some of these events?" And da da da. And I'm like, "Yeah, And I'm like, he paid me a little retainer, and I started helping him out. And that little bit of help turned into a lot of help, and ended up creating a big entertainment platform for a iconic brand that still exists today, and it was first to market, called Veggie straws.
Oh yeah, I love those.
And when that brand sold, and I saw how much money everybody was making around me for these little startup brands, and I'm kind of working my butt off for consulting fees, even though it was great, I'm working for the best brands in the world.
Yeah.
It seemed like all my passions came together. And in that moment, or in that time in my life, that I can do everything. If I was actually a partner in a brand, or I look for brands to invest in, and really make that brand my media opportunity, where I gave my heart and soul to, going back to the days of when I was working with my parents, where now I'm vested in myself, not even though I wasn't with Clear Channel anymore and I wasn't consulting, I still kind of was sort of consulting for Moët Hennessy and other brands at the time. Um, really look at a way to kind of take my focus into meaningful brands that I can launch to market that nobody knew about before, and put all the skill set from creating commercials for that brand, or creating digital platforms and fingerprints for that brand, to building creative around the brand, to building the packaging around the brand, or being part of all those things that a marketing person does. And say at the end of the day, that's the footprint or the fingerprint I put on the world, and I could see a bit of me in all of that. That became very exciting to me. And that led to me now working with and partnering with a great guy. His name is Jerry Bello, a pioneer who created the Veggie straw, actually, in other brands. Coming aboard with him, kind of merging Adam's Apple Productions, a decade-old company that did multimedia marketing
Yeah.
platforms, after leaving my family's company, and sort of becoming the in-house agency, if you will.
Yeah, makes sense.
Maybe 20 brands plus strong now. And I work on a lot of them, more that are in my wheel, some of that are not. But of course, I can't stretch myself too thin.
You've done
So
that before, yeah.
I take on different roles for different brands. But the notable brands that I've worked on, that I've built from start to finish, was Brownie Brittle, which a lot of people know out there, and the woman who created it, Sheila G. Maines, who's then became partners with Jerry Bello, who I work with now. And I developed the whole marketing strategy around that brand. I made Sheila into an overnight sensation as a personality of the brand. We use entertainment marketing to really facilitate and platform and catapult that brand into pop culture. Because of my background in entertainment production and studio work. But that's been a driving force. I think the love of entertainment, the love of Hollywood, being that it's one of the biggest influencer markets, if not the biggest influencer market in the world. Building up that foundation there, and living in LA for about 20 years, really solidified kind of that space for me. And again, just taking all those dots and connecting them and building them, building blocks of what I think I became capable of doing for brands, led me to where I am today. So I went from Veggie straws to Brownie Brittle, and then from Brownie Brittle, we went to another snack line called Pasta Snacks, which is a host of different pasta snacks that are made of a variety of different semolina wheats. And some of them are now, because the pasta categories changed, some are made with white bean and lentil.
Yeah.
And we made snacks. So we brought the pasta aisle into the snack aisle.
What? That's amazing.
Whole line of pasta snacks out there and the savory sets. And then from that, we went to our most current brand by Snacksational, which is the cookie pop and candy pop lines. And we did licensing partnerships with M&M's, Twix, Snickers, Oreo, Chips Ahoy, Butterfinger, and more to come. And that has been an overnight sensation. And we have some more great products coming out as well. So this is sort of now my home base. I don't plan on or emerging as something else. I think I've found where I kind of use all my talents now.
I can see
that. I
that.
have a great team who I consider family that we've been working with forever. And, that's kind of my journey, if that makes any sense.
I learned so much about you. I mean, it's clear from your story that you are more entrepreneurial than you are corporate world. I mean, it's just clear. You like to get from point A to point Z as quick as possible without having to go through channels and funnels that aren't necessary or bureaucratic, overly bureaucratic, let's say. I can see it in you. You're like, okay, what's the fastest and most efficient way to get the biggest splash? And that's something that every entrepreneur is going to respect. Anyone listening is going to go, yeah, that's the way it's done. Is there any other way to do it? And I noticed you said when you were going to make that choice to go into the global, that you spoke with your mom instead of your father. Now, this may be a personal question, but is there a reason? Because you didn't say much about your mom in the beginning. It was about like your father and how you grew up.
Mom and dad actually worked together.
So okay.
Family business. And my dad is just an absolute risk taker.
Gotcha.
She's a risk taker, but she's also.
That's why you turned to her.
Let's discuss it for a second. My father, no, do it. It's a great opportunity.
That's another example of your entrepreneurship. You know who to talk to, not what, but who.
My brothers worked for us as well. So, I mean, we were bred to be, forward thinkers, individual thinkers, risk takers.
Yeah.
We watched, my pedigree is watching my mother and father do that their whole life. So I was never really afraid of I never had the sense of failure. Because I've watched my dad and mom kind of go up and down, but it led to the biggest opportunities of our life. I don't think if they had those, you
have a different picture of failure and what that means.
If they didn't have those hills and valleys and those struggles, they wouldn't have become
who they are. Yeah.
They wouldn't have become the top of their game in the category in which they were in at that time, which was out-of-home media. So, he was a pioneer. I wanted to be a pioneer. I want to find my way. Media was always that way for me, always following the trend before or knowing a trend's going to hit and kind of getting there.
Yeah, early.
Curved, exciting people to take the risk as an entrepreneur. I think that's a big thing that you have to do.
That's a skill.
That's why you're an entrepreneur. You're giving somebody something that they can't get from a corporate climate.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, you're clearly good at this.
I'm trying to be.
No. I can tell you right now, just based off like your background, the trajectory you've taken, and where you've ended up, you've got a gift for it. Because some things you can learn. Anyone can take a Sigma 6 and they can take the online alternative MBAs and all the things. But at the end of the day, the thinking quick on your feet, being able to make those decisions, that's something you earned. Take it for what it is. You earned that.
I mean, again, I didn't go to college for business or marketing. I was a political science major. I mean, college was very important to me because it built in the fundamentals of learning. It built in the fundamentals of problem solving, community, working with others. And that was very important for me. That probably helped mold me in a way that just going out there and saying, I want to be an entrepreneur because I think I can do it, like most people do, and I think more today than ever.
Yeah.
I think it was really important for me to understand I needed to develop a skill set. I needed to find a great mentor. Luckily for me, it was my father and my mother. They helped me take my skill set and mold me into the entrepreneur I am today. And I bring that wherever I'm going. We formed and we played the game together. We formed a large business together. I've been growing businesses my whole life from nothing to something, and multiple times.
Yeah.
So it's like once we get a company up there and then we sell it, I'm at the start. I'm at the front, the starting line again. And that's what
That's
excites me. It's very hard work, but I love the challenge. And it keeps me maybe young at heart. It keeps me energetic. It keeps me excited about tomorrow. Keeps me stressed about tomorrow. I think you have a lot more responsibility when you are the one who is singularly responsible for
yes.
a piece of the team that nobody else is facilitating. And you have to be on your game, or you're going to have to be replaced.
It's interesting you chose to be CMO instead of CEO, like most people who go into entrepreneurship. Now, some people don't see that they might be the bottleneck in their company. And so they say somebody's probably better suited to be a CEO, and I'm actually better suited to be the CMO. Now, is that by design, or is that just how it fell?
That's a very big learning arc for me. I never wanted to be fully responsible for everyone. I really respect people who are CEOs. Again, I think what makes any company successful is your weaknesses and your strengths. And for me, I know what I'm good at, and I know what I don't know or not good at. Or maybe I could be good at it, but I would have to learn another skill set. For me, I'm very comfortable in my lane. I know it as much as I think I know it.
Yeah.
And I've been fortunate to come together with a group of people that have been building brands together, and everybody is responsible for a piece of that pie, who knows that, who knows how to make that slice taste the best. And that's, where I found my strength, by knowing that weakness. I just, for me, I think it wouldn't let me do what I do best if I had to do all the other things that CEO did,
Yeah.
on top of what I did best, because then I would have to find somebody who would have to replace me to be the CEO, because you really can't wear both hats. I mean, some people do because they're a one-man band in business. I never really was that person. I always worked with a small team that did rather big things. We did take on more responsibility outside of our core job model, but it's not something that I ever thought of being. Maybe that would happen in the future if I maybe was on one brand. But this CEO here, like I said, his name is Jerry Bello. He is a phenomenal leader, and he's a phenomenal manager of
Yeah.
multiple brands, multiple people under those multiple brands. And I manage, all those people as well under a marketing or communications, under the marketing or communication platforms and the agencies that we hire, and, managing a lot of people myself.
Sure. Yeah. You've got your own responsibilities.
It's almost like I'm the CEO of that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. No, it's exactly what it is. It's a
CEO
chief
of his
chair.
thing, I'm the CEO of my things.
Yeah.
Sales,
No,
kind of are all, we, at this particular company, we're all sort of islands in the stream that
that's part of entrepreneurship. Yeah.
kind of meet, once a month to, reel each other in for a second,
Yes.
download, and then we kind of go back out and do our own thing. But we trust each other completely. So,
What's it like working with family though? A lot of people don't successfully do that, but it sounds like you guys have been able to do it. And I want to know what the secret to
great.
that is.
Well, my parents always, so I mean, probably like any kid, who wants to kind of leave the nest. When I started for my parents out of college, I kind of stopped working for them during college. I worked for them after high school almost every day. Some of my friends got jobs, it was like the thing to do after college. I
Sure.
mean, high school. And then I went to college. I wanted to be all these different things. And then when I got out of college, I really didn't know what I wanted to be. And my
Even more
dad
confused.
would not let me not work.
Oh,
So
wow.
you get into our office. I don't care if you like staple papers or whatever. And he brought me in, and I absolutely hated it. I did not want to work for them at all. I was miserable. I was like working the fax machine and answering phones. It was also, I grew up in Long Island, New York, so I really
Okay.
wanted to be in the city. I wanted to get out of, my hometown as most people do. I mean, I was no different than probably 90% of the people who are out there. And he kind of let me do whatever I wanted to do and be miserable. And then one day he's like, "Hey, Adam, you want to come on a sales call with me?" And again, I've been molded into knowing everything he knows by watching him grow this business literally out of our basement as I was growing up. So I knew the business. I knew his shtick when he would go into a meeting. I knew what he would say about the business. And he took me to Sony Music. And I walked into Sony Music, and I think we were there to talk to the marketing team because they were about to launch, I think, a new Mariah Carey album or some big
Right.
promotion. And I was around this group of 20 people, all young, cool, and hip. And my dad got up in front. He gave his presentation. I'm sitting there like a schmuck, not saying anything because I wasn't planning on having any part in this other than as an observer.
That's not what your dad had in store, huh?
And he gave this great presentation, and everybody loved it. And he had been working with Sony for quite some time. This is the time that Sam Goody's and Music Lands were in malls.
Oh yeah.
And you would buy a CD and da da da. So there was a lot of reason to buy point of purchase ad displays to get somebody to buy that, that product before they went into the Sam Goody at point of purchase through our mall displays. So when he left, 2 weeks later, they called. They wanted my dad to come back, and he's like, "Do you want to go with me back into the city to the meeting?" Because I got like 100 CDs when I left. And I was like, "This is great," to myself, not to my dad.
Yeah.
And I said, "Only way I'll go back into the city is if I go alone." And that's the day I became the head of sales. And 11 years later, the head of sales and marketing for his company.
So you did a good job. That you don't stay there if you're not doing a good job.
Lured me in without knowing I was being lured.
Man, that's what I needed to hear, and that explains so much, man. For me, that tells me
fire. He gave me the fire, but he also let me make my own decisions.
Yeah, which I think was pivotal in giving you that sense of entrepreneurialism that you have. And now that I know more of like who you are, particularly, I'd love to know what you guys are working on next. Like you said, you had the thing with Sheila G, and you're opening up some more product lines.
So I told you about the snack companies. We also have Keengrowth Capital, which is a different company in itself. It really stands for innovation in the health and wellness category. And we look at brands that really are bringing some kind of healthy new product to market. There's micronutrition as well, and I really work on the healthy new products. So we in that category, I act as VP of communications for three really great brands. We have one brand called the Jersey Tomato Company. We use fresh Jersey tomatoes, which people who really know the tomato community would know they're some of the best tomato, if not the best tomato in the U.S. And Tom Colicchio from Top Chef, is an innovator and a contributor to that brand.
Oh wow!
And he is the face of that brand as well. So we're really excited to work with him in that product line, and it's new to market, about 2 years. We have a salad dressing and mayo line made out of hummus. That's called Bang Foods. Yeah, it's amazing. So we do hummus dressing, which is, they're very clean products, usually 4 to 6 ingredients. A dressing made out of hummus, multiple flavors from buffalo ranch to roasted red pepper.
That's my favorite hummus.
As a dressing, and they're 30 to 40 calories per serving. So we're giving healthier options in the salad dressing category, as well as the vegan mayos, which are egg-free, of course, and made with the hummus as well. Or the
you said Yang. Was that
Odang, like ODANG?
Oh dang! Okay, wow.
I can't believe it's hummus.
Yeah. I know. I'm gonna look for it. It sounds like you're on the East Coast too. Is that correct?
Well, we are now I live in, our company is based out of, or our corporate offices are based out of Orlando, Florida.
Okay.
And some of the companies that we either develop internally from idea to shelf, or companies that we actually look at to become partnered with some sort of investment and services. They are all around the country.
Okay.
We have a yogurt company called Da or Dalicious, and it's an Indian yogurt company from India. We have Rachel Hunter right now.
Really?
One of our brand ambassadors. We take on the lifestyle of that brand. She's a meditation and yoga kind of guru who's been living between India and the United States and London, from New Zealand originally, but really gives the kind of lifestyle around the culture of that brand and helps us communicate that to an American consumer. We have some big news coming up with that brand. Can't say it yet, but some really big news coming up with that brand as well.
Darn.
And those are the three that I work on outside of the two snack brands that we have internally right now, which is Cookie and Cat Candy Pop brand under Snack Pop or Eat Snack Pop is where you can find us, or snackpop.com. And then we have the Pasta Snacks brand in our Penne Straw line. And we also have a Disney license partnership with that line as well for kids. We're reformulating everything, and some good stuff coming out with that brand as well.
Yeah, man, you got me with the pasta. It's my weakness. So
it's delicious too. I don't think anybody thought pasta could be a snack. But again, that's a brand that was developed from idea to shelf within our company.
No, that's amazing.
A little bit of everything here.
Yeah, no, and it sounds like you got some really exciting things coming up along the way. So I guess my next question to you is like, where do you usually prefer people to reach out to you? Because whoever's listening, if they got an idea or they're like, oh wow, I need to get in touch to see if I can jump on board, be a part of this somehow as an investor or whatever the case is going to be, is that something that you're open to?
Yeah, you can go to keengrowthcapital.com, and you can also go to snackpop.com or pastasnacks.com, and we have info sections for all of those. Keengrowth Capital is really it's a VC. We have a fund as well, so we do everything from investment to services, and we're kind of like a little Shark Tank, if you will.
Yeah.
So brands are always coming to us in some capacity to look how they can partner with us, or in some capacities, get some of our services or investment or anything in between. And we're talking to brands, 1, 2, 3, 4 brands a day.
Wow.
So we love doing that. And, not everyone fits, but, we look for great partnerships. We look for innovation.
So you're always looking. Yeah.
Always looking, never close to it. Me
Okay.
personally, I showcase a lot of the stuff I do with my own personal media, and they call me the Snackspert. So that's my Instagram handle at
Okay.
SNAXPERT, the Snackspert. And that's where people can follow me if they wanted to. I do share, almost everything I do for work, and a lot of the stuff we do with entertainment partners. We had a great launch just on Giving Tuesday, December 1st. We partnered with our popcorn brand, Candy Pop and Cookie Pop, do Snacksational brands with Ryan Seacrest Foundation.
Oh.
And we launched a very long and very rewarding support partnership with them that will be part of our cause marketing campaigns from now to, I hope, as long as we can go on with them. And their logo is on all of our packaging. A portion of all of our sales goes to their foundation. And we have some great things we're doing with them coming up in 2021.
See, that's huge. No, I love that. And I love that you guys are always looking. That's definitely, that's again, speaking to your entrepreneurial bent.
Work with personalities, in entertainment, but really from a philanthropic side or a meaningful side. We're not somebody who just wants to put a name on a bag and a face to a product. We want there to be some story behind it. We want our brands to have some story behind it. And we want, to also tell the consumer we're doing our part in some capacity, to help others. With the Ryan Seacrest Foundation, it goes to helping kids in children's hospitals across the country. And they opened up their 11th studio just last week that was part of the Giving Tuesday kind of launch, or to launch our partnership with them at the Arnold Palmer Children's Hospital here in Orlando. Ryan Seacrest builds TV and radio studios in the lobbies or some area of a children's hospital where kids become the DJs, the
Oh,
interviews,
that's
sort of
cool.
you. So if you were in the hospital with um, something that was going wrong with you, but you had the ability to still do things while you were there, and you survived any treatment you were going through, and somehow that moment there where you became the person doing this right now there today, that would have been the full trajectory of that program that Ryan has now developed in children's hospitals. So there are kids, who have cancer or kids that have, other, horrible diseases there that are going to get through it, but they're, interviewing Dolly Parton in the Nashville Children's Hospital or whomever it is, but they're
Yeah.
getting a taste of what it could be like to share their voice, to share things that are bigger than them with people, listening in these hospitals nationwide. So it's a really beautiful program, and we're happy to support it.
That's awesome, man. Okay, so like I said earlier when we were starting, and I had mentioned to you, given what you've said, I mean, you've met a lot of people, it sounds like, in your life. So I'd be interested to know the answer to this actually. Right now, at the juncture you're at with your company or your own ventures, if there was anyone listening, who would you hope that would be, either a name or trade that would just take what you're doing to the next level, or you're just a big fan of?
I mean, it's kind of cliche, but of course, I'm a huge fan of Shark Tank. I mean, Mark Burnett would be one for sure. I
Okay.
mean, he's a consummate entrepreneur. He's probably doing what I'm doing with 72,000 brands under his belt. I don't know how he does it actually. That would be something I would probably want to ask him. How can you be true to the promise of these brands that you bring on board to actually get you? How do you facilitate that? How do you manage your time for all of them? What's that process like? Because for
Hmm.
me, it's, it does stretch me thin, and we're, much smaller, but it would be great to have that half an hour conversation with them about what it's like, between where I am and to where he is, what that trajectory for him has been, and how he became who he was. So I've always found that fascinating, or him fascinating.
That's awesome. See, that's the kind of answer I was looking for. I love it. Man,
I'm like
Adam,
little tiny Mark Burnett, little tiny.
just a slice, please.
Thank you.
No, this is awesome, man. Honestly, I feel like I could talk to you a lot, like twice, three times the amount of this, but we don't have that much time. So honestly, at this point, I've just got to say thanks, Adam, for stopping by. And like we said, people can follow you on the Instagram. You said the Snackspert.
The Snackspert.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm actually
Expert by now for sure.
TM hashtag Snackspert. Yeah. I'm gonna follow anyways just to stay up on the
Yeah,
awesome things you're
absolutely.
doing, the causes that you're about. And
Yeah,
yeah, thanks for stopping by.
great. Thank you. A pleasure.